Welcome to this week's edition of The Sports Show. My guest this week is boxing coach Shah Rahman. He's no relation of mine, but I've known him on the circuit for a while now. He's training young people and old to take up boxing as a sport and as a pastime as well. Shah, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
It's great having you here. Why did you take up boxing?
When I was a bit younger, when I was about 13, 14, 15 years old, I was trying out lots of different sports and couldn't really find anything that I was really interested in. I mean, I was playing cricket with a friend of mine who went professional. So I used to play quite regularly with him. I tried football, canoeing, and many other sports, even weightlifting. It wasn't only until I went to a boxing club, I found it's something I really enjoyed, I really liked, and I thought it's not something that a lot of people can do, and I was quite good at it. I went along with about 10 of my friends, and I was the only one that continued and went on to box competitively, and I boxed up to an international standard.
You've got yourself a new home in terms of your academy. You're based at Limehouse Marina. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we just set up a Limehouse Marina Elite Boxing Academy, and we're based at the Limehouse Marina Elite Gymnasium, which is right next to Limehouse DLR station, literally about a minute walk from there. We've been fortunate enough to get in contact with the owner, and he was looking for someone to set up an amateur boxing academy. It's a professional boxing gym. It's got some of the best facilities possibly in the country, and he was kind enough to allow us to use his facilities to set up the amateur boxing gym, because there is no money involved in amateur boxing. So of course, finding a venue and renting a venue in this part of town is very expensive. So we were quite fortunate to have that connection. We're also based at Spotlight Youth Centre, which is in Poplar, and that's a world-class youth facility. I think it cost something like £7.5 million to build the centre, and on the second floor of the building, the top floor, there's a boxing gym, and so we use that twice a week, and we're based in Limehouse Marina Gym 3 times a week.
How many people roughly do you have working with you, or are you training on any given week?
We're training up to about 40 to 50 different individuals throughout the week. Each session, on average, about 20 plus. And it's a good mixture of people. The groups are very diverse, so it's not just Bangladeshi. We do have a lot of Bangladeshi youth, because that's what predominantly Tower Hamlets is made up of. But we have kids travelling from lots of different places, or outside of the borough, and from different parts of the borough, which doesn't happen very often in any other settings. Well, sports does bring lots of people together, but outside of that, youth settings, you don't get people from different backgrounds or different areas mixing, and that's what we have at the gym.
So what do you say to people, Shah, who would turn around and say boxing is a violent sport?
I think, looking from the outside, it can seem like that. If I wasn't involved in it, I would have thought that myself. But being involved in it, what I realised, it's not about the violence. It's more about discipline, and it's about the technique and instilling that discipline in other parts of your life. So it's not just about punching someone. It's actually being in control of yourself, of your anger, of your emotions, and using that in a more productive way than you normally would. And I think that lets out a lot of anger, and it allows people to deal with their emotions a lot better. So they are actually a lot calmer in normal life, and that's what I've found with myself and working with lots of young people who have anger management issues. So I wouldn't say it's a violent sport. Of course, saying that there is parts of violence involved, but this is so much more than just violence.
So what you're trying to say is that people can take the discipline from a boxing such a sport. Obviously, some people refer to it as art in itself. They can take the discipline, incorporate it into their lives, and make themselves better human beings.
That's exactly what we're trying to do. Working with young people, especially, we're trying to instill those values in them, so they can that has an influence on other parts of their life. So they're disciplined that they're in education or their jobs or in their personal life, so they can achieve more. They can achieve more in all aspects of their life using the values they learn from attending boxing sessions and what we teach them.
So how old does one have to be to join your academy?
Um, So they have to be 11 to start competing, but we would probably take on young people as young as 10 at the moment. But they have to be 11 to start competing outside of the club.
Going back to yourself, Shah, who were your early influences in life generally?
Um, I think I've been quite fortunate enough to be supported by a lot of people. I mean, I had good people around me, from family members, and when I started boxing, some of my coaches were really amazing. They provided me with a lot of support and development opportunities, and that's one of the reasons I am where I am now, coaching other young people. So they pushed me to do well in all aspects of my life. As I said, in education, you know, they've instilled those values of discipline in me, so I could implement that in other aspects of my life. So education, jobs, and everything else, I did fairly well, and still continuing to do so.
Taking into account the important points that you made regarding discipline, how important do you feel it is to have a sport such as boxing within an inner city area like ourselves?
I think it's really important because we have lots of issues within the local area, from people getting involved in gangs, violence, drugs, and all kinds of other things. And what we're trying to do is engage them in activities that would deter them from doing those things. And currently, we've been working with an organisation called Street Elite, and we've taken on a group of 16 to 25-year-olds, and we're trying to encourage them to well, we're working with them, and at the end of the program, they get opportunities to go and do apprenticeships with housing association and developer. And so if they carry on, and these are the programs I think are quite necessary. And boxing is just a vehicle of engaging those people, because that's something some of these individuals are interested in. Or it could be any other sport. Could be football. So I think we need to find out what they're interested in, and what we found is a lot of young people are interested in boxing because they need to release their anger or whatever else, and through that we can engage with a lot of young people and signpost them to other positive activities, as we are doing now.
Brilliant. Who, in your opinion, is the best pound for pound boxer in the world, and why?
Ooh, current or previous?
Current.
Current. I mean, I know a lot of people have different views about Mayweather, but he has to be up there. But I think I like watching a Ukrainian boxer called Vasil Lomachenko, and I think he's one of the upcoming fighters. He had something like 200 amateur fights, and he only lost one. And so he's in the professional ranks now and doing very well. I think he won a world title in his second or third fight, and he's carrying on. So I think he's one to watch out for.
So you mentioned Floyd Mayweather. I agree with you in terms of his talent and his ability and what he's achieved. But personally, myself, I don't consider him to be the greatest role model, especially when you're working with young people. Do you have somebody different in mind in that regard?
I completely agree. I think one of the things when you're working with people, it has to be, you have to seem to be sort of personable, and you have to have values that people should be looking up to. And Mayweather doesn't necessarily have those qualities. I think Aamir Khan is a good example of someone who is doing really good work in the community, and he set up an academy working with lots of young people. And I've actually I've met him when I was boxing, when we I was about 15, and I think it was after my first fight I got to meet with him because he came to our club, and um, I met him and his dad, and they seemed like really nice, genuine people, down to earth, and I think that's how he is in real life, from all the stuff that we see him doing. So I think he's a good role model for young people.
What are your future plans for your academy?
For the academy, one of the main reasons we set up the academy was not because of there was a shortage of boxing clubs in the area, but we wanted to do something quite different, and to bring some of the best coaches together, but also provide opportunities to those who don't necessarily have the opportunities to get involved in the sport of boxing. Because I remember stepping into a boxing gym when I was about 14 or 15, and it's a daunting thing to do. I was quite fortunate; a lot of my friends went along, and the club I went to wasn't that busy. But I can imagine how people feel, and so we want to get rid of that, provide opportunities for young people to get involved. And not everyone is going to become a boxer or necessarily a world champion, but we don't know until we give them that opportunity. So that's what we're trying to provide, is make it inclusive for everyone. And the other reason we set up the academy is because, as I said, it's not because of a shortage of boxing facilities or boxing clubs, but we wanted to engage people in other things. The reason we called it an academy is because we want to provide training opportunities for young people, educational and vocational, and that's what we're looking to set up in the near future. And I'm working with some of the best coaches in the country. We have Mark Collings, who is an England coach at the moment, and we have Darren Langley, who was I think he was a four times national champion himself, two Commonwealth silver medals. He's been working at Sky as a mentor, and he's also a current Great Britain coach. So I think we have a lot of potential with the club, and which we can provide to local young people. But for the near future, we want to set up the educational and vocational training courses alongside boxing.
And how can people get in touch with you?
We've just created a Facebook page which is called Limehouse Marina Elite Boxing Academy, and that would be the best way currently to get in touch. And my number is on there as well. People can call me.
People can get in touch with you.
People can get in touch with me, and I encourage people to get in touch, and parents to be involved. I know, we don't a lot of people don't necessarily have the best idea about boxing or what it entails, but all the things that we just talked about is really beneficial for young people. So I would encourage people to at least come and try it out. And we have sessions 5 days a week. So if people do get in touch with me, I can let them know when and where they can attend.
I agree with Shah. There's a lot more to boxing than bashing your opponent until he's blue in the face. The community must stand up and thank people like this who give up their time voluntarily on a day-to-day basis to engage often with some of the most vulnerable members of our community. I'll see you this time next week. Thanks for watching The Sports Show.